My mental health journey, this particular part of it that I'm going to talk about today, began when my wife was diagnosed with a brain tumor in November of 2010. So, she was 38 at the time, and we had three daughters. They were like, older elementary school age, so 12, 9, and 6. And it was just sort of dealing with just an immediate health crisis where, you know, she started losing her eyesight, and we didn't know why, and she got an MRI, and we were just stunned to find out that she had a brain tumor. So there was kind of a health crisis part of it, just dealing with realizing that she had this very grave diagnosis, and also dealing with just sort of a lot of fear as a result of that. Kind of when you hear that kind of news, your immediate thought is, am I going to die? And so there was the aspect of it that was like a health crisis, and also just through that, kind of having a church community that really, sort of embraced us and helped us through it in lots of different ways, practical ways, and praying for us and things like that. But also then, so we kind of went through that crisis for just over 2 years, and she became, she went through treatment and things like that, and then we, after about just over 2 years, almost 2.5 years, she passed away. So that aspect of my journey was, just dealing with, grief and loneliness at the loss of, basically, she was my best friend. We had 3 kids together. She was just my best friend. And so just dealing with, grief, and also trying to deal with, 3 girls who had lost their mom. And also just loneliness, just being just feeling like I was just alone and nobody understood what was going on. So, because a lot of it was I think, people are used to people getting sick. People hear about diagnosis all the time and stuff like that. But I was literally the only person I knew who had lost their spouse at I think I was 39 years old. So yeah, just the loneliness of it, and then after that, walking alongside the girls with that. By that time, they were just a couple years older, so middle school and still late elementary school, and I think so. Then a lot of it was just how do you grieve well? How do you know? Nobody, didn't really know how you're supposed to deal with that kind of thing. I'd heard about whatever they are, the steps of grief or whatever, but and people just say a lot of things that aren't necessarily very helpful. So at one point somebody said to me I was just feeling super lonely, and somebody said at some point well, maybe in 5 years or so you could think about dating and getting married. And I was 39, so I was I don't know, it just felt difficult. So but anyway, so the years following that, there were a lot of, every year we'd remember her, and just do, we would visit her grave every year. We would go to the little coffee shop that was close to the school where we met, where we, dated in the college there, and just trying to find the right way to sort of remember her, and while at the same time just navigating real life. How do you're still working, you're still raising your kids, trying to keep life going, but also being sensitive about pausing to remember her. So yeah. Definitely things that didn't work were anything that sort of, would kind of numb the pain that I knew were not like healthy. So, you know, whether it's like alcohol or pornography or whatever, like just things that were like basically just using to like avoid feeling bad feelings, you know? So that kind of stuff. I think stuff that did work, honestly, it would surprise me because, like I said before, I felt really isolated, and I literally felt like I was the only one who, not that I was really the only one who had been through this situation, but kind of. You feel like you're the only one, you know, certainly that you know, who's been through this kind of a situation. And so to me, you know, counseling is great, but actually like finding a group of people who had been through the same thing was really helpful to me. So I literally went online and I found a group of young widows, you know, because a lot of the widows that I had been exposed to or knew of were older, you know, because it's more normal to lose your spouse earlier. So I found a group of younger widows, a lot of people who were my age, some of them were younger, a lot of them had kids who had lost their spouse. And so that was really, I mean, that was really like healing to me because it just, as lonely as I felt generally, like it helped me to feel less alone in the situation. So yeah, that's definitely something that worked. Well, first of all, going through the health crisis part of it, so going through her illness, her faith was very strong. So I think in some ways, she kind of like, you know, in some ways her faith kind of like inspired us and carried us along during that time. So she would always say that God is good no matter what, like no matter what happens to me, God is good. And so I never doubted God personally during that time. But you know, you do ask why, and there's not necessarily an answer to that question. So I think you know, which, you know, you can't necessarily expect that you'll be able to answer the question of why. But you know that, I think one thing that's always encouraged me is just knowing that as transient as things are here, like the destination is heaven. So I know that So Young, who really strongly believed in heaven and had a very strong faith, like that's where she is. So I don't have to be worried about her. I don't have to be afraid. Like her destination is heaven. Um, yeah, so I think that's the main thing. I mean, we also had like, in terms of things that helped too, I mean, we had like a church community that just really rallied around us tremendously. So it would be like, you know, the church as a whole, like, you know, like a lot of people, you know, helping us in very practical ways and things like that, and also praying for us, but also just those friendships where you just, you know, I had friends that I could just talk to and just be honest with, like, you know, guy friends that I could just talk to one on one and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Like, they might not have understood perfectly, but it was certainly like a huge part of like making it through. It's like having those close connections, you know, both one on one with people, but also like, you know, the larger community, you know, like people who don't know you so close, they can at least like provide help, like watching the kids or providing meals. Like we had so many meals, like it was ridiculous. Like it was just ridiculous. There was a lot of food waste going on actually. But you know, just I mean, anyway. So and family too. Just having like my parents there to help was really a huge help. So yeah.